Welcome back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Zuckerberg Burkle, here with my co-host today, Aaron. Go and say hi, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Other than that, let's get into it. So, in this video, we'll be talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Are they the best team in the NFL? Some are saying that. Right, Aaron? Right, so some
Some are saying that.
Some are saying that.
It is a true
Absolutely.
statement.
It is a true statement that some are saying. So, are they the best team in the NFL? Let's go ahead and dive into it a little bit, shall we? Obviously, coming off a huge victory over the Philadelphia Eagles, another team that could potentially threaten for the title of best team in the NFL. However, the 49ers demolished this really good Eagle squad, 42-19. What did you see in this game, Aaron, that made this possible?
I mean, all week, really stemming from last year in the playoff loss, San Francisco felt like they had some unfinished business with Purdy leaving the game early. And you probably remember the players saying, if Purdy stays healthy
Debo.
for that entire game, then it's a completely different story.
Yep, Debo said
And they've been saying that ever since then.
Debo
So-
said it wouldn't have been close, and, well, wasn't close.
Yeah, so this week rolls around and you could feel the animosity and the intensity building up for the 49ers, and it didn't quite feel the same for the Eagles. They
That is
just
true.
took it as business as usual, which, honestly is a good approach. But
Mhm.
um,
Well, not when you get smacked in the
the
mouth.
49ers let their energy affect their play in a good way, and it showed on the field.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Just Debo Samuel specifically really backing up his trash talk in a huge way this game with only 4 receptions, mind you. Only 4 receptions. But on those 4 receptions, he had 116 yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. On top of that, he also had 3 carries for 22 yards and a touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns this game out of the 6 that the San Francisco 49ers scored. So he was responsible for half of the team's points. After saying that had Brock Purdy been healthy, it wouldn't have been close. So talked his ish and backed it up, you could say. On top of that, though, you had Christian McCaffrey with another great game. 17 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. I believe he only has 1 game this season without a touchdown. And in that game, the Niners scored like 40-something anyways without it. So you could say they were all right without him scoring a touchdown that game. Of course, you had Brock Purdy leading the ship. 19 for 27, 314 yards, and 4 touchdowns, no picks. 148.8 passer rating. And somehow, some way, Mr. Irrelevant has jumped up to the number 1 odds for the MVP this year. What are your thoughts on that, Aaron?
Obviously he's been playing really well and deserves to be in the conversation. I don't know if he necessarily deserves to be number 1 odds. I think there's maybe another player down in Dallas that should be ahead of him.
I agree.
But he definitely deserves to be in the conversation with how well he's played this year.
Yeah, no, I agree that he should be in the conversation. It's hard to deny that his receivers and running back do a lot of the heavy lifting for him, in a way. However, I did see a stat that he actually has less yard after catch percentage on his total yards than Mahomes had in either of his MVP seasons, than Aaron Rodgers had in his most recent MVP season, and even more than Lamar Jackson had in his MVP season. So, yeah, his skill position players are really good and know how to get open, but Brock Purdy's making the throws more often than not that get the players upfield. Less than 50% of his yards are from yards after catch. So he's doing a lot of the heavy lifting himself. I wouldn't have him necessarily the front runner for the MVP. Like you said, I think I'd have Dak Prescott personally leading the race. Might even have Tyreek Hill up there. He's on pace to be the first wide receiver to eclipse 2,000 receiving yards, which is an incredible feat. And he is just like, I mean, we saw this past weekend once again. When he is on, man, he is a. There's no receiver in the game that changes just changes the feel of a game more than Tyreek Hill does in like an instant. Because you can go from down 7 on your own 10-yard line to tie ball game in 10 seconds. You can go from down 14 with the ball on your own 20 to tied within 3 minutes with that offense. So yeah, Tyreek Hill's had an incredible year. Jalen Hurts is obviously in the running, although he has started to struggle here more as of late, turning the ball over a lot this season, as far as his standards go. But then you start looking around the league, and it's like Joe Burrow's out, Josh Allen's not having a great year. There's really not a lot of premier talent head and shoulders above the rest. Mahomes is having a down season. Tua is probably in the race as well as Tyreek should be. I think you could even argue that somebody like Myles Garrett could be in the running just because there's no
defensive player.
A defensive player, yeah. I mean, obviously he's been the head.
What
he's
about
been the engine of that
the
Cleveland
cornerback
team.
for the Cowboys that has all the pick sixes?
Oh, Bland. I don't know. I think Bland is a little. While he is a game changer for sure, yeah. I mean, a defensive player that scores that much is obviously insane. But I think you kind of saw this past weekend that it may be more of a victim of chance more than anything. I mean, yeah, you have to have. There's got to be some skill involved when you're taking 6 of them back, but there's a reason people were targeting him as much as they were. Apparently, he just happened to get the. He just happened to win those outcomes more often than not at first. So I think it would be interesting. I think he's got an argument, sure, because of how much of a game changer he is. But I think Myles Garrett, as opposed to Bland, is like not only the best player on that team, he's the reason they're in playoff contention. Dak Prescott's the reason the Cowboys are in playoff contention. But without Myles Garrett, the Cleveland Browns would be fighting for a top 5 pick probably this year with the amount of quarterback injuries they've had. But who are some other guys you got kind of in there?
I mean, yeah, you kind of said it all. I mean, you could always throw Christian McCaffrey in there for how much he means to that offense. I mean, obviously he carries the workload, not only rushing the ball, but he's a reliable guy in the pass game as well.
Right.
So he carries a heavy burden for that offense too. But yeah, you kind of mentioned everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, McCaffrey, I mean, you saw with that game that he missed against Cleveland, or half the game he missed against Cleveland, whatever it was.
I mean, you could throw Stroud in there if you wanted.
Yeah, Stroud's a good argument as well. But yeah, I don't know if Purdy should be the front runner. Is kind of the thesis of that. But yeah, kind of going back to the 49ers, though, they seem to have probably the least amount of weaknesses out of any team in the NFL right now. Yeah, they went on that 3-game losing streak, but you could argue that had McCaffrey not got knocked out, Deebo Samuel not got knocked out, Trent Williams not got knocked out, you could argue the Niners would be undefeated right now had those injuries not happened. And then you also look at the teams they've beaten. Not only did they clobber Philadelphia 42-19, they beat a good Seahawks team 31-13. They beat a really good Jaguars team 34-3. They beat the Cowboys 42-10 early in the season. They have just destroyed really good teams this year. It's not like they're beating up on scrubs, right? They're winning games against really good teams in convincing fashion.
I think that this 49ers team is probably about as close as you can get to like a Georgia or an Alabama in college football. That just mows their way to a title.
Yeah,
It's honestly amazing to watch what they do on both sides of the ball.
yeah. No, I mean obviously they've got the some of the best skill position players at each of their respective positions on offense with George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel and even Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, one of the best left tackles in the league. Uh, on defense, you've got one of the best front seven you can have in football with guys like Nick Bosa and Chase Young now and
Javon Hargrave,
Jamal Hargrave, Greenlaw,
Fred Warner,
Trent Warren. Yeah, I mean that defense is stacked as well. So I
Traverse
can't.
Ward.
Yeah, our old pal Travarius Ward in the secondary. Um, I can't imagine they're going to be able to keep all these players for an extended period of time. So, Aaron, I mean, it feels like this year is the Niners' best opportunity to win a Super Bowl by far, right? Because there's no way they're going to be able to pay these players going forward.
Well, you'd imagine they'd be able to find a way as long as Brock Purdy's under his rookie contract. Um, but they just, I don't know how they keep managing to draw in defensive player after defensive player. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hargrave free agency, Chase Young they traded for, so they
Yeah.
keep bringing on not only solid players, but um,
And then they got rid of a kind of a salary handicap in Trey Lance, too.
yeah, yeah.
That was
But
a
yeah,
big trade. That was bigger for the
they
salary
keep
cap than I
bringing
think people
in
realized because he
they
was
keep
making
bringing
10
in these
mil.
all-star players that
Yeah,
are game wreckers in and of themselves, and then you pair them up with the defense that they've already got, and it's crazy.
yeah,
So
yeah. It'll be interesting to see, but I think that'll do it for this video of Swivel Chair Sports, most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. I've been your host, Zach Berkeley, with my co-host today, Aaron. Go ahead and say bye, Aaron.
Bayern.
All right, that'll do it. Deuces.